Hey, this is Matthew. Welcome back to Nerd News today, and this time around we've got a special video for you guys. Right now, October 2020 is just about halfway finished, if not almost finished completely, and we're very close to the 2020 US presidential elections. This is easily one of the most historic elections in the history of this country. There is a lot at stake going on here, but you're probably wondering, what the heck does that have to do with toys? Well, I wanted to make a toy history video that had something to do with presidents or elections, and I was trying to think of what topic there could be. Because as far as the United States goes, there are a lot of figures that have been patriotic here and there. I can name a bunch of pro wrestling figures, or DC and Marvel characters that look patriotic and bear the American flag on them, but that's not what I'm looking for today. Because I wanted something a little bit more presidential. And again, on that topic, there are some presidential action figures that just came out in the past year, in fact. A company called Amazo Toys just had a Kickstarter fairly recently that succeeded, where they made their Space Force toys that featured the head sculpts of a whole bunch of US presidents. And likewise, a Brooklyn-based company called Factory also made a series of presidential figures and other politicians that are up to date and fairly recent. But at the end of the day, those toys don't really have much of a history yet. They're all pretty modern, or they're just patriotic, which is what I'm looking for here. I'm looking for something very much political and presidential. And oddly enough, when I think of those things and a toy, my first thought is Barbie. Yeah, we're doing a Barbie doll video today. And that's normally not a topic we cover much in depth here on Nerd News Today, but I should let you guys all know that while my history in toy collecting is mostly action figures, I grew up in a house where my mom was a pretty deep Barbie collector for quite some time. So I spent a lot of time at doll conventions, doll shows, things like that, where I basically saw the landscape of what it was like to be a doll collector and learned about those things. So I do have a bit of an appreciation for them, even though I myself am not a collector. But Barbie is one of those characters at her core that has had a lot of jobs, and it just so happens that that job frequently has been President of the United States. But first things first, let's talk a little bit about the history of Barbie. Barbie was created in 1959 by Ruth Handler. She was inspired by a German doll named Lily, which was produced 4 years prior to that and based on a comic strip character. When Barbie made it stateside and became part of Mattel's line of dolls, things were a little bit different because in Germany, the Lily doll was a little bit more meant for adults, whereas in the US, Barbie was the fashion doll. And unlike Barbie, who enjoyed a legacy of decades, Lily, well, her time on this planet was not very long because she was basically finished in 1964 when Mattel bought up the rights completely to that character and to the doll. And it's worth noting that when the very first Barbie was released by Mattel, women had only had the right to vote for just shy of 40 years, and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 was still a few years away. 1 year after the first Barbie doll was released in America, she got her very first job. And Barbie hasn't stopped working since then, meaning that her resume is probably as long as a copy of War and Peace. Barbie has worked in many different fields, never settling for just one occupation. She's worked in the food service industry, she's been in the entertainment biz, she's competed in athletics and even won gold medals at the Olympics. She's worked in the science and medical fields and even gone to the moon, all while keeping her stylish looks and being a role model to children in many parts of the world. It only made sense that through the years of accruing all these different skills and talents that one day Barbie would want to go into politics. Throughout the course of her political history, Barbie has run for office 7 times, including this year. So let's go ahead and take a look at the history of presidential Barbie. Barbie's presidential aspirations began in 1992, which was the election year that Bill Clinton stepped into office after defeating George Bush Sr. and Ross Perot. Back then, Barbie was a bit less conservative looking than what she would wear in later years, wearing a rather exciting red, white, and blue ball gown. The doll also came with a red power suit and a briefcase, and an African-American version of this doll was also available. In this case, the Barbie was centered more around fashion than it was any kind of political statement. But nothing too heavy, because at the end of the day, it was just Barbie having fun and playing president. But some pundits did point out that it was kind of silly to have a presidential Barbie doll, but still being so much focused on the fashion elements of it. In 1996, Barbie sat out the Bill Clinton versus Bob Dole election and let those two guys duke it out on their own. But she returned for the new millennium with a whole new look. In 2000, Barbie teamed up with the White House Project in the election year that George W. Bush went ahead and defeated Al Gore to become president of the United States. This time around, Barbie had a blue outfit and also included a red inaugural ball dress, some red heels, a pearl necklace, and Barbie for President bumper stickers, and a few signs for her supporters, making this a vastly much more presidential look as opposed to the very first one in '92. The White House Project was a non-profit, non-partisan group with the aim to inspire women to go into politics and business. The back of the box mentioned the White House Project Girls Action Agenda, and also said Mattel would donate $20,000 to this group. It also included this quote from her speech featured on the back that said, "As we begin this millennium, I hope that one day you too will be able to declare yourself a candidate for US president." follow your dreams, and reach the top. In 2004, Barbie hit the campaign trail once more in the year that Bush beat Kerry for his second term in office. This time, Barbie featured a red pantsuit and a patriotic scarf. She came with a campaign sign and a handbag, and with the message to go vote, go run, go lead, and go girl on the front. An African American and Hispanic version of the doll was also available. And much like the Barbie from 2000, this version also included a partnership with the White House Project. In 2008, the year that Barack Obama took office after defeating John McCain, Barbie ran again, this time wearing a skirt suit with less patriotic colors, pink and blue with purple highlights and green glitter. This sparkly version really seemed a lot less serious than what we saw in the previous election year, with the intent to make this doll probably more kid-friendly again. In addition to her outfits, she also included a purse and a handbag, a pearl necklace, another set of shoes, and of course, a pink cell phone and a pink laptop, because you can't have a Barbie doll without pink somewhere in it. Some retailers also had a version that included a sleeveless evening gown. Once again, a Hispanic and African American version of the doll was also sold. But based on what we're seeing with the look of the doll, as well as the information given to you on the back of the packaging here, it seems like this doll was focused a little bit less on political party and focused more on just partying. While it's a nice looking doll, it was a bit of a misstep for the message they were trying to get out there with politics, but they would rebound in the following election year. In 2012, Barbie ran for president once again in the same election year that saw Barack Obama win his second term against Mitt Romney. This iteration of Barbie was part of Mattel's I Can Be line and was designed by Chris Benz, who also designed some outfits for Michelle Obama. Similar to 2008, although not nearly as glittery and sparkly as that one, Barbie kept things a little bit more neutral in terms of political parties and even patriotic looking, instead opting to wear pink with a red, white, and blue fringe around her collar and pink shoes. She also wore pumps instead of heels, giving her the freedom to stand up on her own power for the first time, something that had been criticized for Barbie dolls for many, many years. And this Barbie came in 4 different skin tones to better represent a growing nation. This doll's political party was the Be Party, as in things that you can be, and was once again backed by the White House Project. And this Barbie had a 5-platform stance, which was to be a dreamer, be inspired, be informed, be confident, and be involved. And then one day, you can be a president. Her box included a cardboard podium, but more importantly, a Secret Service Chihuahua. And I believe this was also the first presidential Barbie to feature more joints, including articulated wrists and elbows for a better range of motion. In 2016, Barbie hit the campaign trail once again, but this time she wasn't alone. In a historic first for the doll in a historic election that saw Donald Trump defeat Hillary Clinton to take office, this time around, presidential Barbie was actually a 2-pack. This set featured President Barbie as well as Vice President Barbie, making this the first all-female ticket. As part of Mattel's ongoing You Can Be Anything campaign, the toys were again included in different skin tones as well as different body shapes. This is also historic to note because just earlier that year, Mattel had revealed the different body types for Barbie, making this a pretty big deal. The impetus for this pair of dolls was linked to a study done by the Girl Scout Research Institute that found that only 39% of girls said they wanted to be a leader in 2016. Now, the presidential doll was meant to be the one wearing the blazer, while the doll in glasses was meant to be the Veep. But Mattel said they expected children playing with these dolls to make their own choices and their own role-playing decisions. This doll was supported by the She Should Run organization, a group that offers guidance and support to women running for political offices. The toy also included a worksheet to help further inspire girls thinking about becoming leaders. And now here we are in present time in 2020, and Barbie once again has innovated and done something very unexpected and very different. This year, in an election that is headlined by Donald Trump taking on Joe Biden, we're getting something very big, very large, and this time around it is a 4-doll campaign team set. This set includes the candidate, campaign manager, campaign fundraiser, and a voter. All of these dolls are different ethnicities, heights, and body types. Mattel said the set is meant to expose girls to public leadership roles and pique their interest in shaping the future. Much like the 2016 dolls, this set is also supported by the She Should Run organization. And it's worth noting that this campaign team set comes out just 1 year after Barbie has really continued to expand and push even harder into being a much more inclusive lineup. Because in 2019, we also saw the first Barbie with disabilities, we saw Barbie with vitiligo, we saw the first hijab-wearing Barbie. They've really expanded into a much wider spectrum of shapes and colors, occupations, mindsets. They're really branching out and doing some big things with these dolls. And what I think is also pretty exciting about this particular set is that this time around, yeah, there is a President Barbie in there, but it's more so about being active in the many different roles you can have in politics. This set truly showcases all of the different jobs that are involved in running for a political office and just being active in what's going on in everyday politics. There's a lot more roles out there besides president that mean you could have an active role in shaping the destiny of this country.
This Barbie also made some news when Donald Trump Jr. caught wind of it and used this as a moment to mock the Democratic Party.
As much as Barbie has been a force for change, her name has also been dragged through the mud plenty of times. The doll has been perpetually criticized for her appearance, for her perceived intelligence, and plenty of other things through her life and time. And politically, this is not much different. But in this case, we're actually talking about real life people. In the 2008 election, Sarah Palin was the very first female vice presidential candidate for the Republican Party. And some pundits nicknamed her Caribou Barbie, mocking her for her background in beauty pageants in Alaska. And conversely, in 2013, Barbie's name was brought up once again to mock another person in office. This time around, it was Texas State Senator Wendy Davis of the Democratic Party, who was given the nickname Abortion Barbie by Eric Erickson of RedState.com and Fox News. The Texas Attorney General also got in on it by thanking a supporter of his on social media who called Davis Retard Barbie. Barbie has been used as a slur for both sides of the political spectrum to denigrate female politicians and leaders, while the actual doll has worked hard to be a positive role model for children of all ages and all genders. Her road to office has been a bumpy one, but with each generation of dolls, Barbie has learned and improved. And today, this doll is an even bigger powerhouse than she was before, being accessible to so many people in so many different walks of life. And let's be real here, folks. Barbie would be like probably the best presidential candidate ever. She's been in all 4 branches of the armed forces. She's been a UNICEF ambassador, a German chancellor, and technically, she's already been in the Space Corps if you count her Star Trek doll. And as we talked about a few moments before, this year's Barbie is the campaign team Barbie, and they're trying to expose people to different styles and different roles you can have within politics. And more so, just a few days before I recorded this video, Mattel announced a Susan B. Anthony doll to celebrate 100 years of women's suffrage and the 19th Amendment, giving women the right to vote. So while the other versions of Barbie were very much focused on being president, this year it's about activism and being involved. And they're showing there's a lot of different ways that you can get involved in politics where you are. Lover or hater, Barbie is an icon that has used her powers for the forces of good and has always changed and evolved with modern times. Adult collectors often forget that toys aren't just meant to be put up on a shelf for display. But for all of us growing up and for people who are actually playing with these toys, they've been a place to let your imagination run wild and live your dreams. Role-playing with toys is one of the ways to get your imagination active, and especially as a kid, that's very important, because one day you can turn those dreams and aspirations into reality. And toys like Presidential Barbie have a bigger impact than you may believe. We always talk about how seeing someone on TV that's like you inspires you to reach out and try and be like that person. So it's very much the same with toys, and putting these aspirations into your physical hand in toy form makes it even better. Never underestimate what the power of imagination can actually do for a young child, and even today for adults like us. And as for my fellow Americans who are watching this video today, please don't forget to exercise your right to vote. Whether I agree with your stance or not, everybody has the right to have a say in the process, so make sure your voice is heard in this upcoming 2020 election. So that's our look at the history of President Barbie. I hope you all enjoyed this toy history video, and I hope you'll stick around for more videos like this because there's going to be a lot more coming soon. So if you're new to this channel, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to see everything else we do here. So until next time, to all my fellow Americans and everybody else around the world watching this video, thanks for watching Nerd News today. We'll see you guys next time.